I love Civ 6, I love magic. These are my Civ 6 themed magic homemade cards. I am Loki the Gamer, and this is the Gaul pack. The Gaul pack has, as always, 6 cards, 1 legendary land, the Land of Gaul. The leader of the Gauls is a card. There are 2 unique items, 2 unique builds, and then 1 card modeled after the leader's agenda, and that leaves 1 bonus card based on any dang thing that I wanted, and yeah, I went a little silly with that one this time. Overview of Gaul. Well, there'll be lots of production. Production equals ramping, as we can see from my homemade equivalency chart. Civ 6 concepts translated into Magic the Gathering concepts. So production equals ramp, and in this case it'll be not exactly mana generating, but rather mana discounts. Same thing, really. There will be culture. Now, culture translates into a bunch of different things. This time I thought that culture meant something else to Ambiorix, leader of the Gauls. You'll see, it's a little different. It's not on this list, but it does fit the color pie perfectly. And there'll be mines. So mines are in Civ 6 are improvements or land improvements. And as we can see from this chart, land improvements translate to land auras. Sometimes artifacts, and in this case, yes, we'll be doing a little bit of that as well. There's 1 land improvement that fit better to me as an artifact rather than a land aura. There will be the concept of culture bombs. Now, culture bombs are pretty rare. Not a lot of leaders do them. But culture bomb essentially is acquiring free land all in one fell swoop. So, of course, that means land fetching. So, yes, Gaul will also do a little bit of land fetching. And, of course, there will be combat bonuses. There are very military people. Combat bonuses will expect some neat stat boosts. The color identity of Gaul struck me as red and green, so a Gaul civilization. Red, lots of rough and tough people who love to fight, and green because I associated them with the verdant and lush forests of ancient France and Belgium. So there we go, red and green seemed to fit for me, and that gave me lots of ideas for color-appropriate powers. Gaul. In Civ 6, let's take a look. It has the ability Hallstatt Culture. So it's all about mines. Mines give your districts bonuses. I didn't really use that in the Gaul land card. However, mines also give you a culture bomb, so you can expect to see that land fetching. And you get extra culture, and then there's this whole deal about how districts don't really give each other adjacency bonuses as they normally do, and they must be far from the city center. I also didn't really use that in the land card design. Let's take a look at the Land of Gaul as a magic card. It is an uncommon card that produces green, and it states that enchanted lands you control are mines, in addition to their other types. So there you go, my nod to the fact that Gaul loves mines. It assumes that all of the land auras you've played turned your lands into mines. So it assumes that everything you've played on your lands are for the purpose of turning them into mines, even though that land improvement, that land aura might be a beautiful, lush pasture. It might be an outback station from Australia. It doesn't matter what it actually is. Gaul will assume that, hey, it's a mine, so it turns your land into a mine. What is the point of that? Not a whole lot, but you'll see there is one actually useful factor to that. We'll see later. And there's the Hallstatt Culture ability. Tab this land, and the next time an aura enters under your control attached to a land this turn, search your library for a basic land card, put it in play tapped, then shuffle. So there you go, you get a free fetch land whenever you play an aura on your lands, whenever you make an improvement on your lands, which is assumed to be a mine, therefore mines equal culture bomb. There we go, so the logic holds true, and I didn't make it a whenever. that would be mad powerful. I made it a tap, and the next time you get an aura. So really once a turn. That seemed powerful enough without going over the top. Now let's move on to the leader of Gaul, Ambiorix. I'm quite happy about how he turned out. His ability is called King of the Eburones. Your civilization gains culture equal to 20% of the unit's cost when a non-civilian is trained. And also your units get mad combat bonuses for every adjacent combat unit. So you can certainly expect to see some combat abilities, but also you get that culture reward, essentially a little bit of a refund. Whenever you build a new unit, you get a refund that comes in the form of culture. And as I told you before, I turned culture into something a little different. I was inspired by the color scheme of Ambiorix. I decided to make him, as I've said, Gruul, red and green. And what is a suitable reward for red and green? I decided on an impulse draw. So it's a little bit outside the box. I don't normally treat culture boosts as drawing of any kind, but it seems to fit the magic color pie too beautifully to pass up. So let's read the card. He is a 3/3 human rebel warrior, a rare card, 5 mana, green, red, +3 generic. And his ability, King of the Eburones. Whenever a creature enters under your control, if you cast it, exile the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of spells you've cast this turn. Until end of turn, you may play those cards. So yeah, a storm deck could be neat with him. You cast a creature, which allows you to impulse draw. You can cast something from it or from your hand in order to impulse draw some more. As long as it's creatures, you'll be able to impulse draw more and more and more. And maybe one day you'll cast a spell with storm, and it'll be massive. So and he doesn't help you ramp, because storming needs a lot of ramping, but hey, he's green and red. Green especially is your key to ramping, so no problems there. He doesn't need the help, he can just get it anywhere he wants in his color scheme. And of course, his combat abilities, his units, get lots of bonuses when they fight side by side. What better to represent that than Battle Cry? I love reusing existing keywords, no matter if they're obsolete, if they're old, if they haven't been used in ages, I love doing that. I get to do that because I'm not tied down to rules and regulation of magic card making, because I'm just some guy doing stuff for fun. So there you go, creatures you control have Battle Cry. That can get very nasty. It's exponential. It's crazy. I think I shouldn't have done that. But then again, that's why he cost 5. 5 is a big fat drop, so he deserves to be quite good. So yeah, I'm really happy about how he turned out. If he were real, I think he'd be popular. So there you go, there's Ambiorix, Scourge of Rome. And yeah, as a note, Scourge of Rome is the name of his agenda. I did design a card after his agenda, but I did not call it Scourge of Rome. I reserved that name for the name of the leader himself, of the leader card. We'll see a little later how I named his agenda card, and I think I like his agenda card perhaps even more than the leader himself. Moving on to the unique builds of Gaul. First, the unit is the Gaisate. 3 mana, red and 1. It's a human rebel. Make a note of that. It's important that Ambiorix was a rebel and that they too are rebels. And what do they do? Well, in Civ 6, this creature gets a boost when it fights a creature with greater power. So they like to be the underdog. They thrive on being the weaker of a combat exchange. So therefore, in the case of this card, so it's a 2/2 uncommon, when this creature blocks or is blocked by a creature with greater power, this creature gains a trample and death touch until end of turn. Of course, when it blocks, getting trample serves no purpose. But, you know, hey, you got a blocker with trample, why not? The point is, you get all that no matter whether it blocks or it gets blocked. And yeah, Death Touch, no matter what, no matter if it blocks or gets blocked, Death Touch guarantees that it'll kill its opponent. So yeah, there we go. But it only gets that when it fights a creature with greater power. So I think it's very much in keeping with the spirit of the card. And fighting a creature with greater power, I don't know, with Ambiorix's Battle Cry ability on the table, that might not actually happen very often. But still, if and when it does, boom, Trample and Death Touch. Very neat. And the next unique build is a unique district. It replaces the Industrial Zone, the Oppidum. Being an improved industrial zone, of course, it will make production, you can expect that, but it is a special industrial zone. It comes with a range attack, so it's just like the range attack of your cities or your encampment district. So yeah, invading Gaul in Civ 6 is rather frustrating. They have a lot of fortresses to overcome, the cities themselves, encampments, industrial zones, oh my. So yes, it's very nasty because everything out there, the land, the very land is shooting at you. And therefore I turned the Oppidum not into a land aura as I usually do, but into an artifact creature, a construct. So a red and 3 generic common card with 4/4 stats. It has a defender because it's a construction on the land, can't move around, and it's got reach to represent the fact that it has a ranged attack. And because it is an industrial zone, and because it is Gaulish, it relies on mines, then if you control the mine, spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. So you get that very, very sweet rebate to your spells, which, hey, Ambiorix is going to love that to fuel his potential storm count. But you only get that if you have a mine. Oh, what do you know, that first card we looked at treats all of your enchanted lands as mines. So there you go, there is a point to that. And you'd better dust off that good old Urza's Mine. I'm sure that would find a way into that deck. So I think that's pretty cute. Maybe the whole mine thing is a little underpowered, it's pretty hard to come online, but hey, you still have a nice defender with reach. It's not that bad. And now for the interesting, fun stuff. There's Ambiorix's agenda. So his agenda is essentially he loves you, the player, if you have a large army. He respects that. He respects people with large armies, and he dislikes you if you have a tiny, puny little army. So I turned that agenda into a saga, and as I've said, I did not name it after the actual agenda name. I gave that name to Ambiorix himself. Instead, I called it Ambiorix's Gallic Wars. And make a note of that, because there is one other Civ out there for which I created a card called Gallic Wars. Give you 3 chances to get who that is. Let's talk about it later when you watch more of my videos. So Ambiorix's Gallic Wars is a saga that comes in play with a green, a red, and 1 generic. 3 chapters. 1 and 2 are the same, but they're a little bit different because they say create a number of red 1/1 rebel creature tokens equal to the number of lore counters on the saga. So on chapter 1 you get 1, and on chapter 2 you get 2 more. You get 3 nice little rebels. And don't forget, there was a point to Ambiorix being a rebel, to these guys being a rebel, to the unique unit being a rebel, because step 3, look at that, since we're talking about rebels fighting the Roman invaders, step 3 motivates you to build your deck Rebel Tribal. After your attack phase this turn, there is an additional attack phase. Hey, perfect for red. During which you can only attack players who control fewer creatures than you. And there's my nod to Ambiorix's agenda. He will attack people with too few creatures for his taste, fewer than him. So there you go. And let's read on. At the beginning of that phase, untap all rebels that attacked this turn. So there you go. This is an extra attack phase for rebels only. Well, either for rebels only, or for people that you manage to untap through other means, or for people with vigilance. Yeah, of course there are ways to break that ability, but it's meant for rebels only. So an Ambiorix commander deck would focus on conceivably small, cheap creatures that will allow you to impulse draw again and again and again in the same turn, and maybe even one day hit a storm spell and that can copy a bunch of times. That surely would be a nice way of doing it, but also see if it would be worth it to focus on rebel creatures. That might be worth the effort with a card like the Gallic Wars. The fact that your commander itself is a rebel and you get 3 extra ones from the early steps of the saga means that you will at least get a very nice 4 creature attack, and don't forget they all have battle cry, so it's a very neat extra attack even if you only have those rebels. And if you can find more to use, then all the better. Of course, I have no idea how many rebels there are currently in Magic. I've never run a gatherer search for rebel creature type, so I know they do exist, and I don't think that there's ever been anything tribal related to them until now, until my fan cards. But there you go, it's worth a look. And I myself have designed other rebels elsewhere in the set, so other famous people in history who have been known to be rebels. Well, I didn't shy away from making them a rebel creature type also. And let's take a look at the very last card. I didn't know what to do, I really didn't, I'll be upfront with you. So I simply used the graphic of Ambiorix's Spear, and I simply made a card called Celtic Spear. 3 colorless, and an artifact equipment, common. Equipped creature has +0/+1 and first strike. So a defensive weapon, but you also get first strike, which is rather nice in all instances. And whenever you cast a spell from exile, ooh, look at that, I made it synergetic with Ambiorix's impulse draw power. I love that. I myself have a Faldorn Wolf deck that has all these effects that trigger when you cast from exile. I love that deck, so if this Celtic Spear existed, it might very well go in my Faldorn deck. I didn't finish reading. Whenever you cast a spell from exile, you may unattach this equipment. If you do, it deals 2 damage to any target. So it's very neat, but you have to always reattach it every time if you want to be able to unattach it to do your 2 damage. But it's not bad at all, especially since it only costs 1 to equip. So if you think that you will have at least 1 spare mana anytime that you cast from exile, then this equipment is certainly something worth thinking about. I think it's actually worth it. And it's very much in keeping with the concept of a spear, something that you throw, so boom, 2 ping damage anywhere you want. Works for me. What do you think? My Gaul set is, I think, very nice. It synergizes very well. Some cards feel a little bit out of the loop. The Oppidum, for instance, I'm not sure if it really works out. How often will you get that discount? And if you don't get the discount, do you play with it just because it's a nice defender? I don't know. So not all cards would necessarily go very well into an Ambiorix deck, but Ambiorix himself is quite amazing, and we've already discussed the different ways that you might build him, cheap creatures, storm, rebel, tribal perhaps, and so there you go. And let me know if that battle cry for everyone is perhaps a bit too strong. Maybe, just maybe, I could have said rebels you control have battle cry. Oh, let me know if that simple little tweak makes the card more realistic and it would motivate the player further to make this into a rebel tribal deck. Let me know in the comments and tell me which civ you would like me to do next. And if you've subscribed, I'll actually listen to you. Of course, I have no way of knowing who is subscribed, but tell me in the comments, I have subscribed, I want you to do India. And then I'll do it. I'll just have to trust you that you actually did subscribe. Should I trust you? I am Loki the gamer. Loki is a very mischievous person. I, in turn, expect mischief everywhere I look.